This is the vlog for January 18th, 2019. And I tried to start working on my book again. I gave it a few days to percolate after I finished it on Sunday or Monday. And it didn't go so well. I may be setting too high a goal for myself. I started reading it and realized I wanted to make a style guide and also change some terminology. A lot of the book talks about magical technology. I could never come up with an effective sort of buzzword like magitech or Imagineering, which is magic engineering, that hadn't already been used a whole bunch in some other place. And when I decide to come up with terms like that, I try to come up with something that isn't popularized already. If only because when people start Google searching my books, hopefully, or terms in my books, they don't get confused by a whole bunch of other sites on the internet or phrases or whatever features things on the internet. So my goal was to read through and edit maybe 4 or 5 chapters. I got one. I did one after working on it for like an hour or two, which is not great. I also, at the very least, I was constructive enough to take down another load of stuff to the storage facility. Yes, I do that a lot now. That's going to be what I do for quite a bit. It's raining now. It's been kind of a weird couple of days with just a little bit of rain, cloudy, but pleasant, not too cold. Now it's getting windy. So it's January. It's winter in Washington. This is sort of par for the course. But I am pleased with myself. I'm pleased. At the very least, I really like the first chapter of my book. And that's the most important chapter of any book. Because if your reader can't get through that first chapter, you've lost them. They're never going to pick up another book that you write unless they are convinced by their friends that the style is completely changed and the writer's improved tenfold. That will get someone to come back. But if you lose them in the first page, they're probably not going to come back. If they read the whole first chapter and they go, I don't like this, really the chances of keeping them are gone. And while you have maybe sold them the one book, in my case, I intend to write something like 20 books in this universe alone, and I have to keep them. I have to get them to read chapter 1 and say, okay, I want more, and then to read chapter 2 and chapter 3. And that was one of the things that worried me about the first manuscript. I didn't have a particularly strong opening chapter. It didn't start in media res the way that this one does. It didn't start with a very brief primer on the world the way this one does. This is just it honestly comes from the experience of writing a book over the course of 3 years and what I learned doing that. And it's a good first chapter, it's a good second, and even third chapter. The fourth chapter, I'm going to be honest, I'm a little less enthusiastic about. The fourth chapter, if I remember correctly, is where they decide to get on the boat. Let me take a look of this real fast. Yeah, the fourth chapter is when they decide to go sailing. The fifth chapter is also sort of, but then the pirates attack, and that's interesting. They get out of that quickly enough, and then things sort of lull until some new information is given. The book is fairly well paced, honestly. With a few things which I'll read them again and see how I feel after, having finished the whole thing. And if I'm like, yeah, okay, then good. Otherwise, I'm sure I can cut a lot out, and I've been meaning to find some places that I can trim. There's an excellent example. Oh, how I thought that this would be a quick process of a couple of days and then I could just start sending it out. It's not going to be that simple. After I do this pass, I'm going to definitely have to do another. Maybe that's when I'll really look to trimming some of the larger sections out. but we'll see. I'm Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.